Believing in yourself is more than just a feeling. It's a unique skill, a profound way of viewing life. The truth is, how much you accomplish depends largely on the confidence you have in yourself. Not believing in yourself can silently sabotage your dreams. Think about how often untapped potential, ready to do amazing things, is held back by fear and doubt. In today's challenge, we're exploring ways to become the best versions of ourselves. First, let me thank you for watching this video. You're already on the path to improving your life. If you're new here, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you find value in this content, please hit the notification bell to stay updated. Before diving into the 6 powerful tips inspired by Buddhist philosophy, let's first understand what self-confidence really means. It doesn't appear overnight. It stems from knowing and accepting who you truly are. Buddhism teaches us that self-confidence arises from understanding our strengths and weaknesses and using them as tools for growth. True confidence isn't about external validation. It's about finding strength within, unshaken by others' opinions. Buddha himself taught the importance of mastering the mind to shape your reality. Confidence grows from this mastery, a balance between humility and courage. Now, let's dive into 6 transformative tips to rebuild your confidence and realign with your inner strength. Practicing mindfulness to regain inner clarity. I used to think that mindfulness was just about sitting cross-legged in silence, but as I dove deeper into Buddhism, I learned that it's so much more. Mindfulness is about fully living in the present moment, not dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. And when I started practicing it, I realized how powerful it is for quieting self-doubt and rebuilding inner confidence. Mindfulness teaches us to slow down, to notice, and to breathe. In today's world, where we're constantly bombarded with information and expectations, it's easy to lose sight of who we are and what we're capable of. Our minds become cluttered, filled with doubts, and pulled in a million directions. But mindfulness acts as a reset button for the mind. It brings clarity and peace, helping you focus on your inner strength rather than external noise. When I began incorporating mindfulness into my life, I noticed a profound shift. I started with simple practices, like focusing on my breath. Each inhale felt like I was drawing in calm, and each exhale felt like I was letting go of tension and worry. This small act of breathing with intention became a powerful tool. It helped me break the cycle of overthinking that often spiraled into self-doubt. Buddhist teachings emphasize that the present moment is all we truly have. Dwelling on past mistakes or anxieties about the future only weakens our ability to act with clarity and confidence. By practicing mindfulness, you train your mind to be fully present, and in doing so, you start to see yourself and your challenges with fresh eyes. You learn to focus on what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, and your mindset. One of the most valuable lessons I learned from mindfulness is self-awareness. It's not about suppressing your thoughts or pretending doubts don't exist. Instead, it's about observing them without judgment. When a negative thought, like, "I'm not good enough," arises, mindfulness teaches you to acknowledge it, recognize it as just a thought, and let it pass, like a cloud drifting across the sky. This practice frees you from being controlled by self-doubt. Mindfulness also strengthens your inner voice, the one that reminds you of your strengths, values, and capabilities. Over time, as you stay present and grounded, this voice becomes louder than the doubts and insecurities. You start to trust yourself more, making decisions with clarity and purpose. One way I deepened my mindfulness practice was through walking meditation. It might sound simple, but focusing on each step and being aware of how your feet touch the ground is incredibly grounding. It reminded me that confidence isn't about rushing to the finish line, but being steady in every step you take. In moments of uncertainty, mindfulness became my anchor. When I faced challenges that made me question myself, I would pause, take a few deep breaths, and return to the present moment. This simple act gave me the strength to move forward with clarity and calm. If you're struggling with self-doubt, I encourage you to try mindfulness. Start small, maybe just a few minutes a day of focused breathing. Notice how it feels to simply be present. As you practice, you'll find that the noise of self-doubt fades, replaced by a deep sense of clarity and inner strength. The journey of mindfulness isn't about perfection, it's about presence. And with presence comes the confidence to face life with clarity, knowing that you have everything you need within you. 2. Facing your fears head on. Fear used to have a tight grip on me. It whispered doubts into my mind, convincing me to avoid risks, shrink back, and stay in my comfort zone. But through Buddhism, I discovered that fear isn't something to be avoided. It's something to face. And when you confront your fears head-on, you unlock a wellspring of confidence that you didn't know existed. Buddhist teachings view fear as a natural part of life. The Buddha himself faced fears during his journey to enlightenment, whether it was the temptation of Mara or the unknown of his spiritual quest. What I learned from his example is that fear isn't the enemy. It's our response to fear that matters. When I started embracing this mindset, I realized that fear often disguises itself as self-doubt. It tells you, you're not ready, or you're not good enough. But instead of running from these thoughts, I began to lean into them. I asked myself, what's the worst that could happen? And what's the best that could happen if I tried? This simple reflection helped me see fear for what it truly is, a temporary emotion, not a permanent truth. Buddhism teaches that challenges are opportunities for growth. Every fear you face is a chance to learn more about yourself and your capabilities. When I reframed fear as a teacher rather than a threat, it lost much of its power over me. Instead of avoiding situations that scared me, I began to approach them with curiosity. I asked myself, what can I learn from this experience? One of the practices that helped me most was visualization. Before facing something that made me nervous, I would sit quietly and visualize myself succeeding. I imagined every detail, the sounds, the feelings, and the sense of accomplishment afterward. This practice didn't erase the fear, but it gave me the courage to act despite it. The first time I confronted a significant fear, I was terrified. But as I pushed through it, something incredible happened. The fear shrank, and my confidence grew. I realized that fear is often exaggerated in our minds, and the act of facing it is far less daunting than the anticipation. Buddhism also emphasizes detachment from outcomes, which was a game changer for me. I used to fear failure because I tied my self-worth to the results of my efforts. But when I began focusing on the effort itself rather than the outcome, the pressure lifted. I understood that even if I didn't succeed, I would grow from the experience, and that growth was a victory in itself. Every time I faced a fear, no matter how small, it added to my inner strength. Whether it was speaking up in a meeting, trying something new, or addressing a difficult situation, each act of courage built on the last. Confidence, I realized, is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. If fear's holding you back, I encourage you to face it head-on. Start small. Choose one thing that scares you and take one step toward it. As you confront your fears, you'll discover that they're not as overwhelming as they seem. And with each fear you face, your confidence will grow, showing you just how capable and resilient you truly are. Fear isn't the end of the road. It's a doorway to growth. Walk through it, and you'll find a stronger, braver version of yourself waiting on the other side. 3. Letting go of attachment to outcomes. I used to believe that success was all about results. Every decision I made, every step I took, was fueled by the idea that the outcome defined my worth. But chasing outcomes became exhausting. When I succeeded, the joy was fleeting. When I failed, it felt crushing. Over time, I realized this fixation was robbing me of peace and confidence. Buddhism offers a different way. It teaches that the root of suffering lies in attachment, especially attachment to outcomes. By clinging to specific results, we create unnecessary anxiety and self-doubt. True confidence, as I've come to understand, comes from focusing on effort and intention, rather than the unpredictable outcomes that follow. Detaching from outcomes doesn't mean giving up on goals. It's about shifting your mindset to value the journey more than the destination. I started practicing this when I set a goal to improve my health. Instead of obsessing over how much weight I lost or how fast I could run, I focused on showing up for my workouts and eating nutritious meals. Each day became a victory in itself. This shift made the process more enjoyable and reduced the pressure I felt. Buddhist teachings emphasize that life is impermanent. Outcomes, no matter how much we plan or prepare, are often out of our control. However, what we can control is how we approach our actions. This principle, known as karma yoga, teaches us to act without being attached to the fruits of our labor. When I applied this to my personal and professional life, I felt a profound sense of relief. I was no longer weighed down by the fear of failure or the constant need to prove myself. Letting go of attachment to outcomes also transformed how I faced challenges. Instead of seeing failure as an endpoint, I began to see it as feedback, an opportunity to learn and grow. For example, when a project I worked hard on didn't get the recognition I hoped for, I reminded myself that the effort itself was valuable. The skills I gained, the lessons I learned, and the connections I built were outcomes in their own right. This detachment from outcomes doesn't come naturally. It requires practice. Meditation became my anchor. Sitting quietly, I would focus on my breath, letting thoughts of success or failure drift away like clouds. This practice helped me recognize the impermanence of my worries and reconnect with the present moment. Over time, I felt lighter and more capable of facing life's uncertainties. Now, when I set a goal, I ask myself, am I doing this for the joy of the process or because I'm attached to a specific result? This question helps me stay grounded in intention rather than getting lost in the what-ifs. The freedom that comes from this mindset is empowering. Confidence no longer depends on external validation. It grows from knowing I'm giving my best effort, regardless of the outcome. If you've been feeling trapped by the need for perfect results, take a moment to reflect. What if you could release that attachment? What if you could focus on the process, trusting that the right outcomes will come in time? This is the Buddhist way, acting with intention, letting go of control, and finding peace in the present. 4. Cultivating compassion for yourself. For years, I was my harshest critic. Every mistake I made felt like proof that I wasn't good enough. I held on to my failures, replaying them in my mind like a broken record. Over time, this self-criticism eroded my confidence, leaving me hesitant to take risks or embrace new opportunities. What I didn't realize then was that I needed to treat myself with the same kindness I so easily gave to others. Buddhism teaches the transformative power of metta, or loving kindness, which begins with cultivating compassion for yourself. True self-confidence isn't built on perfection, it's built on self-acceptance. When we forgive ourselves for our mistakes and recognize our inherent worth, we create a solid foundation for growth. I first encountered this idea during a meditation retreat. One of the exercises involved repeating phrases of self-compassion. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be free from suffering. At first, it felt strange, almost indulgent, to wish kindness upon myself. But as I continued, I felt a shift. Instead of focusing on my flaws, I began to appreciate my efforts, my resilience, and my capacity to grow. Practicing self-compassion doesn't mean ignoring your shortcomings. It means acknowledging them with honesty and kindness rather than judgment. For example, when I missed an important deadline at work, my initial reaction was to berate myself. But instead, I paused and reflected. Why did this happen? What can I learn from it? Approaching the situation with compassion helped me take responsibility without sinking into shame. One of the most profound lessons Buddhism offers is the idea of non-self, the understanding that we are not defined by our mistakes or successes. Our true nature goes beyond the labels we or others place on us. When I embraced this perspective, I stopped seeing failure as a reflection of my worth. Instead, I saw it as a natural part of being human. Another practice that helped me cultivate self-compassion was journaling. Each evening I would write down 3 things I appreciated about myself that day. Sometimes it was as simple as, I stayed patient during a tough conversation, or I showed up for myself by going for a walk. Over time, this practice helped me shift my focus from what I lacked to what I was doing well. Self-compassion also means setting boundaries and prioritizing your well-being. I learned to say no to situations and people that drained my energy, even if it felt uncomfortable. This wasn't selfish. It was an act of self-love. By protecting my energy, I was able to show up more fully for the things and people that mattered. If you struggle with being kind to yourself, remember this: you are not alone in your imperfections. Every person you admire has faced self-doubt, made mistakes, and fallen short. The difference lies in how they choose to respond. Will you continue to punish yourself, or will you choose compassion and growth? Start small. When you catch yourself in a moment of self-criticism, pause and ask, would I say this to a friend? If not, replace the thought with one of kindness. Over time, these small shifts will help you build a relationship with yourself based on trust and acceptance. Buddhism teaches us that we are all worthy of compassion, including ourselves. By embracing this truth, you can begin to heal old wounds, build genuine confidence, and face life with an open heart. Self-compassion isn't just a gift to yourself. It's the foundation for a life filled with purpose, connection, and peace. 5. Living authentically. I remember a time when I constantly shaped my actions to fit others' expectations. It wasn't that I didn't know who I was, it was that I was too afraid to show it. The need for approval led me to live a life that wasn't entirely mine. Over time, this facade chipped away at my confidence. I felt disconnected, not because I wasn't capable, but because I wasn't authentic. Buddhism teaches us the profound importance of living in alignment with our core values. Authenticity isn't just about being honest. It's about living truthfully in every action, word, and thought. When you act in ways that are inconsistent with your true self, a subtle yet powerful erosion of confidence begins. But when you live authentically, confidence flourishes naturally because there's no internal conflict. You know who you are, and you're unafraid to show it. Authenticity starts with self-awareness. The Buddha emphasized the importance of understanding oneself deeply, a practice that begins with asking honest questions. What truly matters to me? What values define my existence? Am I living a life that aligns with these values? These reflections may not come easily, but they are the foundation of genuine self-confidence. Living authentically also requires courage. It means stepping away from the safety of conformity and standing firm in your beliefs, even when they challenge the norms around you. When you act according to your principles, you not only strengthen your inner resolve, but also inspire respect from others, even if they don't agree with you. This is the kind of confidence that doesn't waver because it's built on a foundation of truth. For example, consider a situation where you're asked to compromise your integrity to fit in or gain approval. The temptation to say yes may be strong, but the cost of that decision is often greater than it seems. Saying no, on the other hand, reinforces your commitment to your values and strengthens your self-respect. Over time, this habit of staying true to yourself creates an unshakable confidence that doesn't rely on external validation. Another key element of authenticity is learning to embrace vulnerability. Authentic living means accepting that you won't always have the right answers or make perfect choices, and that's okay. Vulnerability is often mistaken for weakness, but in reality, it's a profound strength. When you're willing to show your true self, including your flaws, you create deeper connections with others and foster trust in your relationships. Authenticity also involves letting go of the need to please everyone. The Buddha taught that seeking approval is a futile endeavor. No matter how hard you try, you'll never satisfy everyone's expectations. Instead, focus on satisfying your own. When your actions align with your beliefs, you'll find an inner peace that no external opinion can shake. To live authentically, start by taking small but deliberate steps. Speak up in situations where you'd usually stay silent. Make choices that reflect your values, even if they're unpopular. And most importantly, take time to reconnect with yourself through meditation or quiet reflection. Ask yourself regularly, am I living the life I truly want, or the one others expect of me? Over time, you'll notice a powerful transformation. The anxiety of trying to fit in will fade, replaced by a deep and unwavering confidence. You'll feel lighter, freer, and more aligned with the person you're meant to be. Living authentically isn't always easy, but it's one of the most rewarding journeys you'll ever take. 6. Embracing impermanence. There was a time when I dreaded change. I clung to my successes, fearing they'd slip away, and avoided risks because I couldn't bear the thought of failure. But life, as Buddhism teaches, is inherently impermanent. Nothing, neither success nor failure, joy nor sorrow, lasts forever. The sooner I accepted this truth, the more resilient I became. Impermanence, or anicca in Buddhist philosophy, is one of life's fundamental truths. Everything in existence is in a constant state of flux, from the seasons to our thoughts and emotions. By resisting this reality, we create unnecessary suffering. But when we embrace impermanence, we gain a profound sense of freedom and confidence. Understanding impermanence begins with shifting your perspective. Instead of fearing change, See it as a natural part of life. When you accept that nothing is permanent, you stop clinging to the good moments and fearing the bad ones. You learn to appreciate the present for what it is, knowing it won't last forever. This mindset not only fosters gratitude, but also builds resilience. Failure, for instance, is often seen as something to avoid at all costs. But when you understand impermanence, failure loses its sting. You realize that every setback is temporary, a momentary dip in the ever-changing flow of life. This perspective allows you to take risks, try new things, and face challenges with grace. You stop defining yourself by your mistakes because you know they don't define your entire story. Embracing impermanence also transforms how you view success. Instead of clinging to achievements out of fear of losing them, you learn to celebrate them in the moment and move forward. This detachment doesn't mean you care less. It means you're no longer controlled by your fear of change. Your confidence grows because you trust yourself to adapt, no matter what life brings. Practicing mindfulness is a powerful way to embrace impermanence. By staying present, you become more aware of life's transient nature. You notice how emotions come and go, how thoughts arise and fade, and how no moment ever stays the same. This awareness helps you cultivate a calm and centered confidence, unshaken by life's ups and downs. Another practice is reflecting on change in your daily life. Take a moment to observe how things have evolved. Your relationships, your career, even your own thoughts and beliefs. Recognize that these changes, both good and bad, have shaped you into who you are today. This reflection not only deepens your understanding of impermanence, but also strengthens your trust in your ability to navigate it. Ultimately, embracing impermanence isn't about letting go of everything. It's about holding on to life lightly. It's about being fully present, appreciating each moment, and trusting that you'll find your way through whatever comes next. This mindset doesn't just build confidence, it transforms it into a deep, unshakable trust in yourself and the flow of life. By accepting the impermanence of all things, you free yourself from fear and attachment. You become more adaptable, more resilient, and more at peace with the ever-changing nature of existence. And in that peace, true confidence is born.